Hello Internet, and today we are going to work on the BMW Isetta again. This is going to be the second episode, and last episode we managed to split the frame here from the chassis, and it wasn't too difficult. It was a few bolts and screws as we showed you, and most of the complications came from just metal wire to the choke and some wiring. So today the goal is to split the engine and maybe the rear suspension from the frame. We don't have too much time today, so I'm gonna put on some lights here and show you. As you can see, the engine is mounted right here to this, which goes to the frame, and there's just two mounts here and here, and it's the same on the other side, so one up here and one down here. And I think I'm just going to loosen up those bolts and then just try to pull the engine out, but maybe just remove some air filters to get, and maybe this heater or exhaust to get some working space. But we also have to remove the drive shaft, which is located here. And this is one really cool feature of the BMW Isetta. Kind of a cool engineering feature, or cool or bad, I'm not sure what to say. Because as you can see, the engine is placed here and the rear suspension is here, and you can see that it's clearly not aligned, which is kind of a bad thing. So they have put on some rubber rings here to try and take up that stress that it will make. So it's not the traditional U-joint you would see, and it's kind of funny because it looks like you could just pull or extend this housing a little bit further, and then it would be aligned. But thinking about it with some friends of mine, it might be that when you're loading the rear suspension, this one gets pushed down, and then the radius kind of gets a little bit longer, and then this changes the angle again. So that's maybe the reason for why they have made it like this, so it can flex back and forth, because this would just adjust too much. Well, I'm not sure, but it's kind of cool and kind of weird. And then we have the housing here to the rear suspension, or rear axle, it's more correct. And it looks like it's just a regular chain box. I think it's just a chain going in here, but we will figure out later. And there is no differential on this, because as you can see, the rear wheels are very close together, and it doesn't really need a differential. So yeah, you can see the comparison to the front wheel and the rear wheel here. So I think I will just get started, and we'll loosen up this, and I will loosen up the engine mounts, remove this air filter, and maybe this, and then it should be straightforward, and we will see. We'll just try to take the engine out. So I have been working a little bit on the engine now, and I have loosened all the engine mounts, and also loosened the axle and a little bit other stuff I'm going to show you right away. First I'm just gonna put on the lights again. It's not that easy filming with the cell phone, but it is what it is. Okay, here we have the engine mounts, and it's just a regular 14mm. I just used this tool to loosen here and here, and as well on the back side. Nothing too difficult. If it was any struggle, I would tell you. And then it's these bolts right here that is loosened from the axle right here. And I loosened 5 of them. I didn't realize that you just have to loosen 3, because it's just 1, 2, and then the other one, 3 on this side. And one of my bolts here are stuck, as you can see. Didn't had the spanner just spun on this bolt right here, so that may be introducing some problems, because there isn't any room to hold it. But I think when we loosened up the engine and get a little bit more workspace, it will be nothing too difficult. To loosen this, I didn't use much more than 14mm 3/8 and 17mm spanner to hold here, so that was okay. And then it's this clutch, the clutch wire, which, look at this plastic, it's just so rotten. 50 years old, just cracks off like plastic. but it goes here and into the frame, so it's probably easiest to just loose it from the engine, and as you can see it's attached to this one. So I'm just going to pull it forward and take it out of this little latch here, and then it will be freed from every wire I have on it, I think. Yes, there's just this one left, which also goes into the... Yeah, everything here is kind of messy, so I don't want to loosen everything here. I just want to loosen it from this side. So then you just loosen this, and I pulled it up, and I think that's what you're supposed to do. But as you can see, the wire kind of looks like it snapped, so I'm not sure if it was like that or if that happened right now, but I think that's how you do it anyway, so it might just be rotten. So I'm just gonna put this careful away here so I won't lose anything, or maybe put a spring here. And yeah, from the last episode we had struggles with the wire that was attached to this one, which we finally loosened from the inside, and actually here it is. This actually was the same principle as this big one on the other side, and here you can see the wire is attached to this little little lob on the front there. So that's, I think this is the same inside here, you know, so it's okay to just loosen it here and pull it off. That's probably much easier than actually taking it on the inside, but things kind of change when they are 50 years old. So that was the engine mounts and the axle and all the wires, and there isn't much else that holds it together. I also took apart the air filter just to get a little bit easier to hold it. So I'm just going to take off this cover here and see if the engine will spin while it's standing in the frame, just to look that it's not seized, and then we're going to try and lift it up. Okay, so before we take the engine out, we are also going to check if it spins and it's not seized. So I already took off the cover, which is right here. It's just this little cover sitting here with 2 screws. And you can see I put the 2 screws back in just so I won't lose them around here. So I'm just taking a 17mm and trying to spin this engine around for the first time in 50 years. Okay, that went really smoothly actually, very smoothly. Almost like I can't feel any compression at all. But no, there's compression there, yeah. Just a very little compression, but there is some compression. Actually, it's been so smoothly, I don't think this engine actually, you know, it doesn't really need a rebuild, I think, because it was drivable when it was put back into the barn 50 years ago. But when taking this entire car completely like this and doing a full restoration, we are probably going to change every bearing and piston ring in there. So right now Örjan is here, and we are going to just pick this up, hopefully. Just gonna put up the camera a little bit aside so I can film the lift. Okay, so just lifted the engine out, and as you maybe seen, there was a little issue, and I will show you that right away. It was, you know, the engine mounts here. We removed them, and they popped up quite easily. I just removed 3 of them because this was stuck. But this is the one that caused problems, and the same on the other side, because this one right here, it's the engine mount bracket, which was sitting right here on the engine, probably this way, like so. And after, you know, when we tried to pull the engine out, this piece crashed into this one. So there's another one on the other side of the engine, so I would recommend, if you are taking out this engine, just remove this one on this side And the same, remove this one. It's really easy. It's actually already almost loosened, so yeah. That's will definitely make the job easier, but you know, that wasn't really difficult. But anyway, just a little tip there to, you know, most jobs, they are much easier if you just plan your job a little bit and kind of look ahead, so and know what you're doing is maybe even better. But yeah, now I don't really have much time today, so I think I'm just going to wrap it up. And the next stage, next episode, we will probably be working on the rear suspension here. It's actually a little bit cool. I can show you a little bit of it when we first are here, and it's like you can see how it looks like it's just a leaf spring here, and the same on this side, and there is no stabilization system like any arms, or yeah, actually there is. I see this is like the radius arm, maybe. Kind of looks like it's fixed actually. So this is just, but again, this is just a frame, so no. This is actually just leaf springs here on each side, and then there's just dampers. There's nothing to like hold this thing in place. Just springs and dampers. So that will probably be not too difficult. Probably just loosen the dampers, loosen the springs, and I think the entire thing will just slide right out. So that kind of just wraps up what we've done today. Just removed the engine. It went quite smoothly, not too much that went wrong. And just stored away the car here, and next time we will try and look at the rear suspension. But right now I need to get home, I need to get drunk, I need to get a weekend. And you guys, you stay home and you stay safe.